Zoom. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's session on training. And it's so nice when Zoom records because it just didn't do that quick intro. So we're just going to do a quick introduction while Samuel dabs the screen and kills everything. So tonight we're just going to talk about marketing, how it benefits your business, what you need to do, what's the best ways of doing that, how it attracts customers. So tonight I've invited Gary to assist me to talk about marketing and social media and how it benefits your business as a body shop. Gary works for himself. He's got a company called Small Talk. What his company does is they look specifically at you as a business. So they're not some massive conglomerate where you're speaking to a person on the end of the phone where you've not got a relationship. Gary will actually find out about your business, what you do, what your marketplace is, and talk about how to market effectively, and also how to look at your website and your social media and gain traction in your audience in doing that. It's a wealth of information. So as we go through it, I'll be bringing it in later on. I'm going to do a general overview about marketing and advertising, branding, and why it's specific to your company. So hence have stuff like that. You need to make sure that you get recognized. So that is part of your branding. And then I'll go through a bit of my story and why I have this knowledge of marketing. Because what I want to do is show to you that I was you in 2014. So I work for an insurance company. So I don't know if any of you know me and my background or what I've done or where I've come from. My background was I used to work for insurance companies as an engineer, got made redundant, started up my own company in 2014, and I knew nothing about running a business. So I knew nothing about running a business. I knew nothing about marketing, nothing about media, how to gain the audiences that I wanted to attract, or develop relationships on that side of it. So these things, hopefully, I'm going to give you some examples. So I don't do it as a means of trying to blow smoke up my arse or anything. I just want to show you the stepping stones to show you where you can get from where you've been. Like I said, so 2014, I was sat in an office working for an insurance company. Whereas where I am now, so we were just talking about what I was doing last week. So if any of you don't know me, last week, this is where I was. So last week, I was at the Great British Motor Show down in Farnborough, on stage with National Geographic and Discovery Channel on car SOS, being interviewed about what I do. So if you think that I've gone from having been sat in an insurance company, working as an engineer, I don't have a company, I don't have a brand, I don't have any advertising, I don't have any marketing, to, and now on a platform at a major British motor show being interviewed by two presenters who are extremely well known, who get audience coverage in 200 and something countries around the globe and millions of people, asking for me to go on stage for them to promote my business and talk about what I do. So what is marketing? That is marketing. So how do you do marketing and how do you create a brand? Well, part of what you've got is that you need to let people know what you do and how you do it and why you're in business. Now, not only do you need to do that, there needs to be some link between what you do as a business and what you can offer them and what your company is and how it presents itself. So whether that's through visual imagery, stuff like this. So for me, it's Motorclaimguru, but I've got something, whereas I've got something big and bright and orange and yellow stuff coming on it. It stands out. And I put it on a background so you can see it. I've also got a different shirt I wear, which is bright orange. So if I'm walking around a car show, if I walk around a car show with a black t-shirt on, everybody's wearing a black t-shirt, you won't spot me. If I go to a car show where I want to stand out, I wear a bright orange t-shirt. So I do it so people recognize me and come to me. So part of what you need through branding is you need a differentiator. You need something that makes you stand out over and above who the people are around you and your competitors. Now, once you've created a brand for yourself, it needs to be something that's generally short and snappy, or something that, like I said, visually stands out. It needs to kind of cater to a marketplace you're looking for. So if you market yourself as being, we do great repairs and we're really cost effective and we're fast and cheap, then that's exactly the customers you'll attract. So first rule of marketing, never tell people what you charge until they need you. Because like I say, and people say, like, what's the best way of marketing? It's word of mouth, but you need to find out what people are saying about you. So if people are saying that, yeah, he's great and he's cheap, that's all what you'll ever get. So don't just blunder on with what you're doing and then let people talk about you. Have a dedicated plan before you start off to go like, right, let's create a brand. Let's let people know what we do and the reason why we do it. Do something that shows this in some visual form or a written form, just to explain why people should use you. Then once you've got that, you can start building on that to then do marketing and advertising. Now, again, so how do you do that? Well, for me, again, there's a story here behind it. So what I did was, I'm very unique in what I do. So I'm slightly different than you guys because there's nobody else that does it. So in some ways, it actually makes it easy for me to tell you about the story and what I've done and how I've got there. But the basic rules behind it, you can apply the same things yourself. There's no reason why it should be any different. What I did was I started off with my website, and then I looked at how to make my content relevant and what would people search for. Now, relating to what you do, you need to understand that you don't just repair cars. You do way much more than that. Now, the thing is that every body shop out there that does is you sell satisfaction. You sell happiness. Now, that might seem really airy-fairy and obtuse and a weird thing to do, but what you want is somebody to come to you with something that's damaged and you make it right again. So they come to you upset, unhappy, leaves you happy. So you sell peace of mind. That's completely what you do. You don't do anything other than that. You don't repair cars, you don't fix cars, you sell peace of mind in what you do. That's what you focus on. Every one of your competitors sells repair cars. That's what they do. Oh, well, if you have an accident, come to us, we'll repair it. That's what they sell. You don't want to do what your competitors do. You want to do something different. You need that differentiator behind what you've got for it. Now, for me, because what I do is quite unique, what you've then got to do is you've got to find the stepping stones that get you to from where I was as an insurance engineer. So I didn't have a business and starting up, to being on stage at a major car show, being interviewed for TV. So these two different things are also what you want to do. So in your marketing, whether you end up actually paying for that type of coverage or you've got people doing it for you, I'll show you how to do it. Now, what you need to do is brand yourself so you differentiate between what you've got. You then need to start marketing yourself, but you either need to start doing it through a website, is a good way of doing it, but also using different search engines where they're linking to things like Thompson Local, stuff like that, where they actually tell you know, they market your business. Now, part of this will go into what Gary will do from a social media side of it, but things that are very important is that you rank highly in different search engines. And part of the way of doing that is by having people link from their website to your site. So different places like Screwfix, Yell.com, Thompson Local, you can put your business on them for free. Don't in any way ever pay for anything like that. But what it'll do is it can generate loads of links. So the way I'll explain that is that I'm Tim Kelly. My business is based in Bury. I'm an engineer. I get one link for each one of them. So Tim Kelly, engineer, Bury. If I say I'm Tim Kelly and I provide engineering services in Bury, Oldham, Greater Manchester, Halifax, Huddersfield, Leeds, Bradford, it will then give me a link for each one of them and still link to that engineering service. Now, if I say I'm Tim Kelly and I'm an insurance consultant, I'm an engineer, and I also provide business consultancy, I get those three different things multiplied by the different areas I cover. So you can quite easily then get, what, 11 different links just from that one thing. So having these websites list your business creates the links. Now, when the more links that you've got going to your website, so it's a free way of doing it, the more credible search engines like Google and Bing see it, and it ranks your business higher than other people. So that's kind of one way of doing it. Now, from my side of it is about developing traffic through my website. So I've got tons of content. What started happening then was people started reading the content I put out, because that's what I do. Now, part of doing this is when somebody starts mentioning about you, and somebody starts talking about you, and it gets in the media, they get attracted to you. But what happens is that if something happens, like, for example, if there was a news article about you in the paper and it's a bad news article, everybody would know about it instantly and people would talk. And then what you'll find is that news article that was in one paper will be picked up by another paper and they'll talk about it. And then another people pick up on it. And then if it's something really, really bad, it'll end up on the radio. If it's something horrific, it'll end up on TV. You can flip that on its head. If you've got something that's really, really good and somebody picks up on it, you need to make that go from that point where media picks up on it, where in effect you can either do it from a social media side of it, which is, again, it's Gary's side of it, where you can make something go viral. And you can do that either by, visual means, by TikTok, Instagram, or even stories, or Google News, or Facebook, Twitter. But you could use something that, if it gets in the media, you can leverage it to get more media off the back of it. So an example I'd give you is, again, so this kind of goes back to my story. So when I first started off, I had this article, and you'll see it was in 2015. And I got into the telegraph cars, and I started talking to this journalist. So started off in March 2014. By March 2015, 1 year later, I'm in a national daily spreadsheet telling people about how bad insurance companies are and what I've done to help them out. Now, that then moved on from that to, I start talking to James. He's got another issue, and he then works out that he needs an expert like me to help him. So he does another article. Now, every time I get something where I'm getting an article, I'm putting that article onto my website. I'm sticking it on Google Business. So I've got a Google Business page as well. So if you've not got one, you definitely need that as well. So LinkedIn. So I'll stick it on a LinkedIn post. And then, but what I was also then doing was I was doing stuff like this, where I was taking a screen print of whatever the paper is or a photograph of it and sticking it on my website and blog. I'm then linking it back to the Daily Telegraph. And then what you're basically doing is you're sharing the content. And what you want is actually for this to go viral in some way, or another news entity to pick up on it. Now, what happens, it starts snowballing. It starts getting like a little snowball, and it starts getting bigger and bigger, and it gets momentum. So let's get rid of that. So this is then where you start getting people interested in your business. Now, there's things where you can do that through the local area where you live. So again, so this is all about how to build momentum in your marketing. And it's the way I'm looking at this as well is very different than conventional marketing. People think about conventional marketing as, I've got a business, I'll create an advert, I'll stick it out there, I'll advertise in a paper, I'll see what happens when I come back. I'll do an advert on Google News or Facebook or Twitter. I'll just do an advert. Okay. Adverts suck because they're out there, you pay for it, and then they're gone. So what you want is something that's relevant news and content that's going to be out there forever, because it's free and it's out there forever. And it tells people about what you do. Now, what you can do by doing this, and again, so I don't know how many have been on me training for LinkedIn or watch the LinkedIn videos. Again, this is massive in terms of what you can do for potential. So going back to my story of what I've done to kind of create these things don't happen by accident. I engineer these things. So the way I engineer these things is I go on LinkedIn, I would look for every single journalist I could find. So whether it's to do with social affairs, whether it's to do with motoring journalists, and I develop relationships with them with LinkedIn. So in the past, when I've talked about LinkedIn and how powerful it is, it's not just like a glorified Facebook. It's actually a really, really powerful tool because it puts you in contact with people who can help you. Now, you might think, well, that's all well and good to me in terms of you're doing what you're doing and you're getting impressed because you're helping the consumers, and it's not really what we do because we repair cars. You can change that completely. So what you do is find out who your local press is, find out who your local journalist is, try and do something interesting either about your business or what you're doing to help your local environment or the local schools or local people, whether you're sponsoring advertising with them or you're doing things where you're trying to get kids in from schools into the motor industry and you're helping them show around your workshop, stuff like that. Make a good news story out of it. And then what you then do is you contact your local journalist in the area. Now, the secrets of marketing and the secrets of media is that you have a platform, radio, TV, written media. Every one of these things needs content. If it doesn't have content, it dies. So the reason why they want content is if it's got content, it's got people who want to watch it or read it. If they watch it or read it, they can sell advertising revenue. So contrary to you thinking I need to spend money and advertise on something to get yourself out there, the opposite is true. So if you've got TV, radio, or newspaper that needs content, give it to them. So what you then got is you've got a journalist at some point who needs content, because if he's not got content, he's not going to get paid. Mm-hmm. He's going to get paid by whatever platform he sticks it on. Now, again, going off this. Yeah, I can't show you that screen. That's the wrong one. So again, this is how you spin it. So this next bit then, I'm contacting all these journalists. We get contacted by a journalist, who's a lovely man called John, and I get into Autocar magazine. Again, saying everything that I do, what I do, because he's doing something about that helps consumers. So the only times I get in the press is when these media entities are talking about how harmed consumers are being by insurance companies and how I fixed it. So it's a good news story that gives content. But if you look, so we're on Auto Magazine's website, which I've also linked to, not an antivirus on one side of it, thing about restorations up here, Autocar M magazine, latest drives, motorway advertisements, related articles. So yes, they've got my article in there, but all the way through it is advertising. So they're using the content of my article because they know people are going to read it to sell advertising revenue off the side of it. Well, in your business, if you do something about your business or a good news story, or it could even be showing people how to repair vehicles in some way. So like Wayne Bearden was a really good example of it, a damage unknown. So if you're showing people how to do things to get, so again, it's something that's massive. It's something you can be running as part of your business. But imagine saying, I'll show you how to cook a pie, but I won't show you what's in it. And you go, well, that's great and the ingredients are great, but I'd rather know what's in it because it might be something crap. Well, the same relates to if you're carrying out a service to somebody. If you're doing something completely transparent, so if you're saying to somebody, I'll repair your car, and you bring it in, you repair it, and you give it back to them, it might look great, but you might have cocked it up underneath. And on the surface, you know, it looks great and you painted it nicely, it all matches up, but it could be full of bog rust or all the rest of it. If you're doing a video that's showing that you're repairing a vehicle perfectly every time and every part of that process is completely transparent, how much better is that to a consumer than just repairing a car? You're going, I'm not showing you how to repair a car. I'll show you exactly what I do. So if you think that the repair costs in your cars are expensive, I'll show you the reason why it's not, because it's not just straightforward, here we repair it, we paint it, off you go. I'll show you every single stage of the process of where we started from, how damaged the vehicle was, what we needed to do with it, how we estimated it, what methods were needed for it, how we stripped it, how we fixed it, how we painted it, how it was at the end of it, and it's all there. Now, for a consumer, they might not have had the peace of mind to think, you know, that your costs were cheap at the start of it. But then imagine then when they see that, it gives them peace of mind. Well, actually, I can see the reason why it costs this amount of money extra for it. So again, what you're then doing is you're selling that peace of mind rather than repairing a vehicle. So you're making more profit out of the way you market it. Okay. So it's stuff like that. To me, it's common sense and it's simple, but unless somebody tells you how to do it and the way to do it, it's not. So visual media is the best way for you guys to market and advertising. So this side now kind of links nicely into Gary. So I'm going to hand over to him in a second. So we'll talk more about social media and I'll jump into a bits of it as well. But what you've got is that the old way of advertising, like I said, you've got something where you're writing something down, you're creating an advert, you've got a picture, you stick it in a paper, or you do a recorded soundbite, you stick it on radio and it goes out there. Or if you can afford it, you've done an advert and it's on TV and it's saying how great you are and what's, you know, this in the background and it's lovely. Them days are kind of gone really, because what you've got is social media content and social media, well, influencers, for a better word, are the key of where everything's going, because things like the amount of money being spent on advertising revenue to influencers on places like TikTok and Instagram is absolutely massive. And if you've got companies willing to spend that amount of money to influencers on that type of media, then clearly that's probably one of the better platforms of doing it. Now, part of what you can do with media is that I'll pass it across to Gary in a second. So we'll go, when he's gone through what he's gone through, I'll talk a bit more about general advertising and marketing, because not every type of marketing will work for you. So what might work for you might not work for one of your competitors, and vice versa. So the only way you can do it is test and measure it. So if you were paying for advertising or something like that, or social media posts, or you're doing like stuff like ad clicks and things, and you want to see how it works, do a little trial first of all, and spend a certain amount of money and see what revenue you get back of it, or what follow through on the clicks you get for it. And then what you want to do is spend money where it works. So test 7 or 8 different types of things of doing it. If 4 of them don't work, and then 3 of them do, the money that you spent initially on the 4 of them, put in the other 3 instead, and spend the money where it works. But social media, if you've not got if you've got a static website, so a static website is a one-pager that does nothing, that just sits there in the background, then it won't get anywhere. You need a website that's continually having content put on it, that needs to be content rich. It needs to be something where people can communicate with you, because you want involvement. So if you put a post out there, don't just put a post out there and then not communicate with it. So anybody who's looked at the post tonight in terms of this training session, you'll see that I added every single person into the Zoom call at the top of it. So I'm not just put a Zoom call out there and gone like, right, you can join it or not. I've actively gone back into every single comment on all the comments on the Refinishers group, took every single name, and then when I've done the post for the actual Zoom, put every single person back into it. But what happens then is you're all engaged with me. So having that engagement is where you gain traffic and gain custom. If you don't engage with them, that's where you lose traffic, lose custom, and lose profit. So I'm going to hand over to Gary, and then he can go a bit more into social media and website platforms, because they are, without a doubt, I mean, my website gets huge amounts of traffic, so they are brilliant. I'm just trying to stick you across. Right, I'm just making you host now, Gary.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. I probably won't need it for now, but
yeah. All right, I'll just hand straight over to you. There you go.
Yeah, well, thanks, Tim. I think, to be honest, like you say, I was going to jump in and out there, but I think you've done a good overview of everything, and I appreciate to all you guys there. There's a lot to take in, and it's all about deciding sort of where to start, like Tim said. And just to give you a little intro, so obviously, I run a company called Redline Creative and Small Talk. So we've basically been working with body shops for over 10 years now. Past life, I was a group designer at Hellfire, which is a bit of a swear word these days. But so our sort of unique selling point is all our staff that we've got, we're all from an accident management background, we're all from an automotive background. So our unique selling point is that we get body shops. We appreciate that. It's like Tim said, it's a distressed purchase. The hardest thing to do in the world is sell someone an accident, because no one wants to have one. But it's about how you deal with it, how you market that, and like you say, promote it as a stress-free, a stress-free process and things like that. So yeah, so we've been working with body shops, all shapes and sizes, everything from branding, websites, social media, printing, and we're also partnered up with a few of the manufacturer programs as well, helping their network sort of increase their coverage and things like that. So yeah, I mean, like you say, marketing, where do you start and where do you end? It's that's why I thought there was no point doing a bit of a presentation tonight, because there's so many things we can cover. But I think where Tim started is a good place. And to be honest, everyone says, do I need to be doing this? Do I need to be doing that? How much money should I be spending? Like the first question, I presume, if all you guys are sort of in body shops and work for body shops and things, is what we're trying to achieve. Like, what are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to generate more retail work? Are we trying to get insurance contracts? Are we trying to, be the independent in our local area? And then the answer to those questions are, all different depending on, what you want to do. So I like to say two areas to just think about it, break it down very simply, is as simple as online and offline. So everyone knows offline, it's been around forever. That's your signage at your body shop, that's handing flyers out in your local area. That's teaming up with local businesses in your area. So, if you get your car repaired here, you get 10% off at the barbers or the pub down the road. Working with the local businesses in your area is still, a hugely successful thing that doesn't cost any money. And it's about building that local community and things like that. And, they say your website, your social media, your online presence, it is your virtual front door. So when you want someone to walk into your body shop, they walk into the reception area, they see a nice smiley front of house, they see posters. If your website's not up to scratch, or your social media or your Google reviews, like, what does that say about your body shop? They both reflect each other. And to be honest, the online actually reflects the offline even more these days, because as we all know, the first thing anyone does these days before they do anything is Google it. Whether you're looking at a restaurant, booking a hotel, the first thing you're going to do is look at that company online. So what we tend to do is well, and also the other thing to think about is the audience you're trying to target. So you've got your B2C, which is your sort of business to consumer, which will be your drivers, you know, body shop to driver. And then you've also got your B2B marketing, which is business to business, which is your body shop doing business with another business, whether it's an insurer, a fleet, you know, rental company. So it's a slightly different message. It's a slightly different platform that you're working with and things like that. So yeah, what we tend to say that the three main areas that we focus on with body shops that are trying to build a brand online, that they're trying to target a retail audience, is, as Tim's touched on, your website, your social media presence, and your online reviews. And obviously, before you get to there, like Tim said, is your branding. So not to go over what Tim said before about the branding, but basically your branding is so much more than your logo. It's everything that you do. It's the key word with your branding is perception. So how you present yourselves, the fonts you use, the colors you use, you know, the style of your website, the images you use will all reflect on basically how your audience see. So it's called brand positioning. So you could be do you want to target yourself as a local family run repairer, all makes and models? So you know, you'll take anything, basically any sort of cars, or are you going, well, we're going to focus on the prestige market? And then if you think about that, the colors change, the fonts change. You know, if you're targeting high-end manufacturers, this runs not just body shops. This is the whole world. You know, take any example, for instance, your airlines. So EasyJet customers, Emirates customers, their brands are different, their fonts are different, the way they talk to customers is different. One's about cheap, one's about quick, one's about, you know, service, expectation, and things like that. And it goes across anything like that, all the different types of brands. So for you guys, it's about building that trust to be the local independent in your area, really. Again, like supermarkets, why do people go to the local greengrocer rather than the big supermarket stores? Because, you know, these days everyone's all about supporting local. So you need to position yourself on all these different marketing places as the local independent that, you know, that cares, the expert, the people, you know, the people that are going to do a good job for you and things like that. And that's all done, as Tim said, by, you know, continuous drip fed marketing messages across all these different platforms. And I think what we found over the last, well, since day one, to be honest, again, we appreciate that you guys are not going to have internal marketing departments. You're not going to pay for a full-time agency and things like that. So with any marketing, the key is consistency. It's about, you know, there's no point in doing 5 social media posts at the end of 1 month and then leave it for 6 months and things like that. It's about continuously educating and drip feeding messages to your customers and things like that. And another thing in terms of the branding and perception is presenting yourself sort of with a big business mentality. So what we see is a lot of small businesses, a lot of body shops, they're stuck in this small business mentality. And there's a few really simple and easy tips that are going to get you caught out from your customers and your partners, and they can be so easily fixed with not a lot of money. So for instance, things like including limited on the end of your logo. You know, obviously on your documents, on your letterhead, things like that, obviously limited needs to be there if you are a limited company, but it screams sort of small business mentality. You know, you don't see Apple or Nike or McDonald's having PLC on their logos. So it's kind of like Tim said, short, sharp logos, to the point, whether it's a family name, whether it's about what you do or who you target. Even little things like emails. So if someone goes onto your website and you've got a Hotmail or a Gmail or a Yahoo email, a customer instantly thinks they must be a small business. It's a £1.99 a month change to have, you know, just a professional, you know, at ABC Body Shop or at whatever business you've got, things like that. And again, like Tim said, a thing that we find is lack of self-awareness online. So what are people saying about your business? If you're not up to date with your Google reviews, you're not replying to good, bad, and ugly reviews, what does that say about your business? You know, what's your customer service like when people are ringing up on the phone? So even though it may be in the subconscious, all of this stuff matters. And you know, the way things are, how competitive it is these days, all these little bits need to be done. Again, at a low expense, to just position yourself against some of these bigger groups and things like that, so you can hold your own. they might have the buying power, they might have the coverage across the country, but they haven't got that local, you know, almost friends and family mentality where everyone knows everyone. You've got the word of mouth, and it really does mean a lot. And again, I think the most important thing out of all those things is your marketing, and asking a family member, or unless they're obviously a designer, you know, DIY in your marketing materials. Again, it's a surefire way for to get found out that it's a small business mentality where, you know, like you say, you pay £1 a month for a website on, you know, from GoDaddy or something like that, and you know, people find it out. So it's about, you know, positioning yourself, having a brand, marketing what you do, and basically, yeah, they're kind of everything we covered around branding. Is that all right, Tim, in terms of going into?
Yeah. So I was just going to say, so do you think this is something that they should be doing themselves, or do you think that this is something where a company like yours is well positioned to help them in?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. We're there to help you guys do things like that, and we cover every aspect of the business, whether, you know, like you say, logo design, setting your emails up. I mean, we can even manage your Google reviews and things like that. We can, you know, for a minimal amount a month, we'll reply to your reviews. We'll flag any sort of negative reviews. We'll advise you what to write and things like that. So again, because we work with some of the smaller independents right through to some of the bigger groups, we've just got all these different products across the red line and the small talk, to help you guys out with everything. Like Tim said, I mean, we can just break it down into those little bits really. And I guess we can start with websites, I suppose. Obviously, the reason you need a website, why it needs to be a functional website and not just any website. So what we find a lot is people say, well, I've got a website already, I don't really need one. But like Tim said, it's probably a static website. Has it got any content on it? You know, on a website, the thing to consider is content is king.
Yeah, so just to explain to them. So explain the difference, how beneficial it is to have a fresh content on your website daily compared to a static website.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I always try and break things down to the most simplest, easiest way to say it. So again, the way to look at a website, I mean, I'm sure you've heard of this thing called SEO before, or search engine optimization. And what Tim was explaining there, that the backlinks to the different websites is one tiny bit of a huge, big picture of algorithms. And that is, does your website, so 10, 15 years ago, Google used to look at your website and say, is the links to it? Has it got content? Right, we'll put it at the top. Now there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of different things. But the most important things are, is your website using the latest technology? So does it work on mobile phones and tablets, which basically means, is it mobile responsive? You know, is the content kept up to date? Is it relevant to the search the customers put in? You know, is it secure? So if it's not got sort of a thing called an SSL certificate and things like that, all these things will drop you down and down the rankings if you haven't got them. So Google scan the website. So for instance, if someone types in, I don't know, Volkswagen approved repairer Manchester, the reason a website will be there instead of page 10, that Google will scan it, it'll check all these different things. And then it'll say, well, they've got a dedicated page about Volkswagen. It mentions, you know, it educates the customer. It's got its keywords in there. And that's why that page appears. But then that's not it. It's continuous. So every month, every week, if you put a news story on your website, mention your location, for instance, Manchester, mention accident repair, mention air conditioning. When a customer types in air conditioning regas Manchester, the reason your website will come up over someone else's is because it's got content about it. So again, looking at manufacturer approvals, you could have every manufacturer approval logo on your website, nice, shiny, looks brilliant. No one will find it because Google will scan the photo, but it needs to have a page. So if you've got 15 approvals or a kite mark, or even your services, they all have to have their own dedicated pages. There's no point bullet point listing all the different services you've got, because your competitors will be doing more than that. So the average website we do, even the smallest body shop, the average amount of pages is 10 to 15 pages, because you've got one on aircon, wheel alignment, ADAS, and you know, you can look yourself the results on our websites. If you type any of those words in with any keyword around the country, any key location, one of our websites will appear. And shock horror, the competition in the body shop industry isn't that brilliant, because there's not a lot of people doing marketing. So you can build a website, and like Tim said, daily putting blogs, or you put a blog on every month, or you update every few months, you'll still have that position on page one, because the website is your, I guess it's your central hub of activity. So that's your knowledge base. That's who we are, what we do, how we can help, how you can get in touch, you know, upload your photos to get an estimate. And then all your other marketing should revolve around this. And the key is to create that consistent message. So you do your blog post, you link it on social media, you might send it out to the press, you know, you might do email marketing, you might do a newsletter. So it's all driving that traffic back to the website, like Tim said, and that's how you're basically keeping it going and keeping going.
So what Gary's talking about there is something called an inverted funnel. So
Yeah.
what the inverted funnel is, so you might think about a normal funnel like that. So your website will be at the bottom, and this would be all your social media at the top. So an inverted funnel is the opposite thing. So your website's at the top. Now on the underside of it is all your social media. So what I do is when I put content out there onto my website, I'll do whatever I need to do for the content. So whether it's where I copy and paste something from an article from another magazine, like, you know, if I've been in an autocar, I'll do a JPEG or whatever, stick it in that. Or you might see that every month on Body Shop magazine, when it comes out, what I'll do is I'll do a picture of the actual article as a JPEG. So when I post it, it shows a picture of it and you see it and then you think, oh, and then you'll click on the picture. So we've got the recognition of that. What you've got at the back of that are things called alpha tags and meta tags. So that picture needs a description about what the description of the image is and what the content is. So again, going back to what Gary was saying there, you can have brands and things on your website, but if you don't tell Google what that picture is, it won't know. So if you've got, you know, a BMW brand name and you just put the picture and stick it on your website, but you don't put on the meta tags that it's actually a BMW logo, then somebody puts into Google, you know, BMW repairs in Manchester. If that isn't in that picture, it won't bring you up. So something like that is a dead straightforward thing where I do loads and loads of links. Now, the way I got to know about websites was I taught myself. But when I first started off, I didn't know anything about it. And anybody who's been on any of the other courses will know that I speak about a young lady called Emily, who is just mind-blowing. And when I first started off, I reached out on LinkedIn. So again, if anybody come on any training sessions, you'll hear me keep banging on about LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, get on it. Absolutely batter the living daylights out of it, because it's the best tool, the best resource you'll ever have in all your life. It's got every customer you'll ever want on it. It's got every single person who you'll ever need to help you. So if you need somebody to help you on social media, you've got people like Gary who are on LinkedIn. So that's how I know him. I don't know Gary in any other way other than that, aside from meeting up at Auto Mechanical last year. If you want things to do with tools, equipment, resources, paint material manufacturers, insurance companies, CEOs, businesses to work with in your local area, everybody is on LinkedIn. Now, the difference between LinkedIn and anything else is LinkedIn allows you to contact the person you need to speak to over and above anybody else. So it's brilliant. So when I knew nothing about websites, what I did was I put a post out on LinkedIn and said, I'm starting my own business. I don't know what I'm doing. I know nothing about websites, nothing about social media. Can somebody help me? This kind young lady called Emily contacted me and said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. However, I've just done my degree and my bachelor's on social media. I've done an article and it's called Living Through a Social Revolution. And it's all about how we interact with media and social media. I suggest you read it. So that's what I did. So, you know, somebody could come to me asking for help, and it's easy for me to say, just read my website, what you need's on there, you know, rather than me trying to help you. In doing what she did, she taught me more than you could ever teach me by speaking to me one-to-one and trying to coach me through it, because she made me read her things. She made me do the stuff that she said in it. So I read through her thesis, and it was absolute gold. Everything in it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to use every single little thing that she's posted in there in my websites. And then what I then did was, when I first started off, I had a friend with a body shop, which if any of you come to the Refinishing Crew trade event last year, you might have met him. There's a guy called Alex Omishenko, and he has a body shop called Deleted End. So he's actually now sold his body shop at the moment.
I've worked for Alex before.
Hey?
I've worked for Alex in the past.
Yeah, he's like lovely lad. And I forgot what I was going to say to you now. My brain just went west with that. Let's see who's listening. Who can wind me back to what I was just about to talk about then before Alex?
About using LinkedIn, you were saying, weren't you?
Thank you. There we go. I like it when people listening to remind me of that. So, yeah, he was sat in a car, was going to an event, going to an ABP event. While we're in the car, his phone went, and it's his web designer. And he went, right, yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that. And he went, yeah, no problem. Do this, do that. Stick on that there, do that blog on here, do that on there. And then the web designer went, yeah, that's great. That's 75 quid. He went, yeah, no worries. That was it. Right. 75 quid for that. What on earth is he doing? Oh, well, he's putting this post on here. He's doing the blog for me. He's tweaking this, he's doing that. And I thought, I've been made redundant. I've only got a certain amount of money. And I can't afford 75 quid every time somebody changes a blog. Sack that for a game of soldiers. So I thought I'll do it myself. So that's what I did. So I learned how to put things on my website, and I worked out how to do a blog. And then what I then did was I learned how the search engines work. So the way the search engines work is, going back to what Gary was saying, is it looks to see what's relevant and credible content. So the first part of it's it being relevant. So it looks at how long somebody's clicked onto what you put and how long they stay there. So that's called the bounce rate. So if it's relevant content, people will read it. If it's not, they've got 6 seconds of attention and they'll go off it. But also what you then got, and this is the backlink side of it as well, it's how credible it is. So if you've got loads of different sources pointing to your website saying it's a credible resource, so I've copied it from your website and he's copied it from my website, you know, everybody's saying this website's good. The search engines go, it's credible, so they'll rank you higher. So I worked this out at the start. Now, Gary was saying their content is king. Again, anybody who's been on my training courses will know, because I ask the question all the time, do you know how many pages are on my website? So is there anybody here who hasn't been on one of my training sessions before? Just put your hand up. Right, okay, so we got Will, Yonit, Josh, Liam. So Will, if you just Josh has got a random hand ticking up there, so we'll just unmute yourself. So anybody who's been on one of my sessions before, don't answer. So welcome, Will. Nice to see you. Nice to see you on a session. So as a rough guess, how many pages do you think are on my website? Bearing in mind what Gary's just said. Bearing in mind what Gary just said about how it is on a normal website. So
30.
Right, okay. So Yoni, just unmic yourself. You can stick your hand down, Gary. So Yoni.
I'd say about the same, 30, 45 pages.
Right. Liam?
You've got to give them a clue, Tim, that includes the blog.
Yeah, all right. So it includes me blogs as well. Don't give cheats away like that, Mr. Chew. That's naughty. But go on, Liam. How many do you reckon?
Probably 100 plus.
No, we're getting better. We're doing well there. Josh? Just unmute yourself, mate.
Yeah, I'd say it's
Say again.
120.
Right. So
I'll go for 120.
So if we say to you that all of you are wrong, and it's a lot more, we'll do the same thing again. So, it's like, Gary, have you been on one of my sessions before? Yeah. No. You're on mute and your headphones on, so you're like... So... Just,
no, I've not been on one, no.
Right, okay, so how many pages do you think are on then? So let's just say it's more than 1,000. So rather than 100, I've got more than 1,000 on it. But let's say then...
1,500?
Okay, so more?
2,000?
More?
10?
Right, we'll stop there. So I'll go back to Yonit. So go on, Yonit. So you now know it's more than 10. How many?
15.
Josh? Josh
20,000.
Will? It's more than 20.
I'm going to go high and say 28,000 now.
No? Still more? Liam?
30,000, 40,000.
Yeah. So I've got just over 30,000 pages on my website.
To be fair, I didn't think you were going to say that many either.
Yes. So you got to think then, why is there that much on there? The art of marketing is having people find you who aren't looking for you. If you can get people who find you who aren't looking for you, they might not need you then, but they'll stick in your head. So
And
what I did when-
that's why these directory websites obviously rank so highly, like you were saying before. So the likes of yell.com or Who Can Fix My Car or Check a Trade. The reason is because, say, for instance, like Who Can Fix My Car or, or Yell, they've got hundreds of thousands of businesses on there, all with their own page. So that's why if you're searching for automotive, restaurants, or anything, they'll always sort of rank above, because like you say, one website's got 25 pages, one's got probably 500,000 pages, and that's exactly what Tim said. So that content, it's not, everyone goes, well, if someone types in ABC Coachworks, we come up, but who types in ABC Coachworks if they don't know who you are? Someone's going to type in wheel alignment, Chester, or alloy wheel refurbishment Leeds. So you need your website to come up number one because of that content. No one's going to search for your body shop name or your company name unless they already know you, and then there's sort of no point. So like Tim said, it's about attracting those people that don't know you exist, and then that obviously leads us on to sort of social media as well. Tim.
So it's perfect again. So I'm going to give you another example. So how many, so I know there's a few of you have not been on my training sessions before. How many of you have been on my website? Just stick your hand up if you've been on my website or not. Yeah. So have you been on it? No?
No, I haven't been on. No.
Yes, right. Okay. So I don't know whether Will or Mark and Gary have, I can't see them, and Rob's doing an absolutely fantastic version of blending into being the invisible man in his kitchen. Look at that. He's slowly fading away into the background bit by bit then. Well, hey, do you know what, Rob? I thought you told me you weren't earning enough profit, and I now realise you're not, because you can't even afford to turn the lights on. So go on my website on it, but I'll give you an example. So again, this is to all show you something. So we're playing another little game. So this is purely, again, social media marketing and advertising, and it's to show how to drive people to your website. So I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to actually show you my website, and we'll try something. Okay, so this is my website. So I've got all about me, and I've got, I hate it when pop-ups stick up on the exact bit where you want. There we go. So I've got a thing about me, but what I've also got then is, so this is my static website. So this is the part of my website with all different things telling people what they can do, what information they need, and the services I provide. But I've also got then, so I've got my top banner here, insurance news, vehicle manufacturers, vehicle claims. You can find newsworthy content on my website. So there's the best part of 20 on there. Services I provide. So imagine every single one of these as being a link as well. So these all work on your backlinks. So specialist valuations, independent engineers reports, pre-purchase inspections, total loss negotiation, body shop consultancy and training. So I've got a mixture of resource in terms of guides. So anything you have as a guide is useful. People search for guides, tell how-tos, how do I do this? How do I do that? How best to claim? So it's one's a guide, the other one's telling you a how-to. Both of these things are extremely important words to use on your website because it helps people. Now, what we've also got, so this next bit then is just an example to show you the content. So up on the top right hand corner here, I've got a magnifying glass, which you'll click on. So we'll just have a rough example of something. Think of something that's not related to vehicle repair. And I literally mean anything you can think of, and we'll see if it brings something up on my website. So, Liam, think of something that's a search for that's not related to vehicle repair. Can you think of anything, Liam?
Yeah, yacht.
Just say that again.
Yacht. Super yacht.
Super yacht. Right, let's have a look. Is it GHT? Okay, how do you spell yacht?
Y-A-C-H.
DHT.
Y-A-C-H. Yeah, something like that.
Is it that? Oh, I can't think of what it is now. Hang on. I
Take
might have
out
to.
the U.
I might have to.
Take
hang
out
on.
the U.
That's disappointing, Tim.
Yeah, no, it is. Hang on. Is it that? It's that, isn't it? Is it
No,
your
you
that way?
spelled it wrong.
Yeah, that's it.
I
Oh.
should know. I used to be in the industry.
Right. Type in boat. We'll type in boat instead then.
Yeah, right. Before everyone goes, can I show or talk you through a way of doing a search on Google, which will narrow hits down from millions to pinpoint 1, 2, maybe 3 hits?
Yeah, of course you can.
When I've showed people in the past, because I used to teach in the college, people have been blown away and said it's a game changer.
Yeah, no, we'll certainly do that. I mean, I use something called Uber Suggest to help me in terms of what other things people search for aside from what's on the website.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Yeah,
to kind of give you a quick example on this, you'll find, I mean, there's 43 results for like blue. It could be band. 49 results for a band. So there's things on my website that aren't related to insurance, they aren't related to vehicle repair, something completely different. But what I've done is I looked at what's on social media, it might have been trending. So it might be a hashtag like, Glastonbury or something like that, for example. So what I've done is I've looked at things that are in the media and I've worked out how to tie that into a blog. And then I've stuck it on my website. And then it then means that stuff like that, I mean, smart repairs, preventing crashes. There's, I put there about hating litter. So I've got lots of different things on there, but you can quite literally, there's not many things that aren't on my website within a word that will be searched for it. Now, that's the reason why I have so much content on my website, because I want people to find me who aren't looking for me. Now, what you've also got to think about that is that content's in a written format. So I'm writing something and then Google searching for it. What you've also got to look at is that if you're doing stuff like TikTok videos, Instagram videos, not only do you want to, because you're going to get a massive following from a visual side of it, most people will follow a video for 2 or 3 minutes because it gains interest and it's easier to watch than it is to read a 5 or 6 minute article or a 10-minute article. But it's also important that if you put something like a video from TikTok, stick it onto your website, cross-media it, but also within your titles of whatever it is you do from a video point of view, give a description of it. So that then, if somebody does type something into Google, it takes them to your video and then to your website again. But yeah, do you want me to put you sharing screen, Liam, or
Pardon?
do you want me to share this to put you as controlling the screen so you can share what you're doing on it? Or
Well, no, I've got nothing prepared, but I can talk you through.
yeah, talking through them.
I used to do this with students. It works better off a laptop or a tower unit because you can see the amount of returns or hits you get on Google, but it will still work on your mobile phones. If you, for instance, type in your first and second name and hit return on Google, you might get, I don't know, 15,000 million hits, like John Smith. It'll pick up anything John and anything Smith. All right. So to narrow that down, you put inverted commas around the John and the Smith at the beginning and at the end. What it does is it holds those 2 words together. Now you can use that for cut and pasting a sentence into Google and it'll hold that whole sentence together. You can use it for looking for part numbers or a problem with a vehicle. Okay. So once you've narrowed your hits down from 1 million hits to, I don't know, 10,000 hits, you can hit the space bar and you hit the plus symbol and you might go, for instance, Liverpool. So the hit has got to have Liverpool in the content. If you're getting Liverpool coming up with, I don't know, football, but football's not relevant to what you're looking for, hit space bar, you hit the minus sign and put in football. So it omits out the search football. And you can keep on repeating this and take your hits down to 1 or 2.
That's good.
Does
I didn't know that.
I used to use it for plagiarism with students if they was copying work off the internet. I've used it for interviewing. You know, if I had a student come for an interview, I could do a Google search on him. I could pinpoint anything on Google. If he's on Google, I could find it by just doing spacebar plus, spacebar minus, and inverted commas. There's also a wildcard. I think it's a $sign or the hash sign. So if you know half the word, you put a wildcard and at the end of it, if you can't complete it, and it would find it. But I've never really used that. Try it. It's interesting.
That's a superb tip. That I really appreciate you sharing it with it as well. It's great. It's anything that benefits everybody is fantastic.
Yeah, I'll see if I can stick something on Refinishing Crew on the Facebook page. Just to explain it.
So
I think what you were saying there as well, Tim, in terms of like, you know, when you type in certain keywords into Google and the websites all rank, over the last few years as well, your social media posts will actually rank as well. So if you've got a lot of followers on your Facebook page and you're doing posts about accident repair in Manchester, or you're regularly talking about Peugeot approved repairs in Newcastle, Google will actually scan all the websites, because Facebook's such a big website, like a directory website, like Tim's website, like Yell. It'll position you, it won't position you at the top, but it'll pull those keywords out and it'll actually say ABC Body Shop Facebook, and it'll highlight. So when you type in certain words into Google and it comes up in the listings, you'll actually see the keywords in bold. So it'll say accident repair, Manchester, Volkswagen. So that shows you, and quite simply, that it's in the title on the page, it's within the body copy. And like Tim said, it's also hidden in all these tags and meta descriptions in the background that the customer can't see. So, you know, if you guys take anything away from tonight, is I know, you know, because I talk to body shops every day of my life, that it's a big, scary word, marketing. Where the hell do I start? How much is it going to cost? And the three things are, like you say, your website, granted, there will be a cost, but it's an investment. I'd recommend paying once rather than cheap paying twice. Get a good website, you know, someone like us, or, you know, a company that know body shops, we can help you out. Your social media will come on to, and again, Google, basically, you know, I know there's Yell and Bing and things like that, but Google pretty much have the monopoly that most people go to when they use a search engine. So shock horror, if you've got a Google map on your website, if you use Google widgets for the reviews, or if you've got lots of Google reviews, shock horror, they'll put you at the top. Why? Because it's got their brand on there. They're not stupid. So again, like Tim said, a really simple thing, even if you do one thing that you haven't done already, is set up a Google business listing page. All you need to do is click Google, type in Google business, create an account. You can use your own email address, or you can just create a Gmail address for that. Then on the right hand side, you'll see, if you search for a business, it'll show you the map, it'll show you the reviews, it'll show you, you know, some opening times and things like that. You can simply put all that in. You can upload photos of your business, and then you can start generating these reviews. And it's so important to get these reviews now, like we say, because that's the first thing customers look at. And there's, again, we can go into the different ways you can get them. But if you've got 500 Google reviews and your average score is 4.9, Google is, and someone types in Body Shop Manchester, Google will put you, whether your website's there or not, high up, or put you on the map, because it's beneficial to them as well, because it makes them relevant. Well, there you go.
Right, so when you go onto Google Business Manager, what it'll do is you can put everything you need on here yourself, so in terms of your address and your details. But again, everything I do, I stick on to my Google page. So every time I write an article for Body Shop Magazine, like I said, I'll do a JPEG of the article, then I'll keep the PDF for it, I'll link it in. And then what I'll do is I'll post it in also onto Google Business Profile Manager. So then anytime, so what you might hear me talk about to do with marketing is that you need to leverage it. So there's no point just do it. So say, for example, somebody does do an article on you, or does do a feature on you on TV, radio, newspapers, anything like that. Don't just leave it there. You need to squeeze as much out of that little bit of marketing as you can. So I basically plaster it everywhere. But what I'll do is, if I've done something where I wrote something, I'll make sure it features it in a relevant place and people can see it and that it's important. So I'll stick it on my LinkedIn profile for something, if it's something technical. If it's something about what I've done in the on media, I'll put the links to that. Going back to what Gary said about before, Google reviews are a massive thing and Google loves it. So what you want to do is you actually want to flatter Google. So if you notice on this point here in the middle there, I've put what a milestone. Motorclaimguru's got its 100th 5-star review. Now, I then done a big banner about it with Google all over it, because I'm saying Google's great and I've got 100 5-star Google review. Google likes it, so then it puts you in Google News. It tells everybody you're a 5-star Google thing. So they start promoting you for free. Now, what you then got is that, I mean, I've got info about what I do. So I'll say my opening hours, what services I provide, where I am. Constantly, it'll try and tell me I want to advertise with them when I don't. What description about what I do. But what I can also do as well is I can find out who searches for me and where they search from. So are they finding me directly on my website? Are they finding me via Google? Is it my brands from me advertising? So when I say about testing and measuring, I can do advertising and work out whether it's me advertising working or not. So I generally, so I'm going to ask you guys some questions in a second about how much advertising and marketing you do, and then I'll put it in perspective for you. So my personal perception about my advertising and marketing, it's just I do this differently, is that I don't spend a lot of money on advertising, because from my point of view, I would say it doesn't benefit me. If I said to you guys, how much do you spend on advertising and marketing, I'll guarantee either none of you will market and advertise, or you'll spend a low amount on it. My feeling of how much I spend on advertising as being low, I spend probably £2,000 to £3,000 a year advertising and marketing, and I think that's low. And that's, to me, that's a minimal amount. And I spend that every single year. Now, the places where I do that, I actually target it very, very specifically. So I'm registered with something called an expert witness register, because I'm an engineer who inspects vehicles and I act as an expert witness. So I spend £800 and something a year with them just to be on their website and just to advertise solely on their website, targeting solicitors. Now, the revenue I get off that from work more than pays for the advertising. The thing you've got as being a small business owner, and it's part of the small business mentality that Gary was saying about, is that when you go to a body shop, you don't see the value of advertising and marketing because you see it as being a cost. Now, the thing is, when you run a business, nothing is ever a cost until which point it costs you money. So that might sound stupid, but what I'm trying to say is that if you spend £1,000 and it generates £10,000 of revenue, you've not spent £1,000, you've made £9,000. If you buy a spray gun and you just happen to somebody like Sonny Yip who spends an absolute fortune on them, you know, that £1,000 spray gun, if it earns him 40 grand because he's an absolute mint painter because he's using the best gun that's out there, then you know, he can tell his missus it was cost beneficial. So it's the same thing. So whether it's a tool you buy, as in a physical tool, whether it's a spanner, whether it's a spray gun, whether it's equipment in your ear, you know, whether you like UV guns, anything, all of these things help you do your job. What you can't do is isolate the thought of thinking that advertising and marketing isn't helping you do your job, because it is. Because if you don't get the customer in, you won't be using your expensive spray gun or any other tools. So it means then you've lost money because you've got tools that you're not using. So don't see things as being an expense. See it as being something that brings in profit to you. And that is the most important thing you need to know about marketing. So
and that's it, Tim, as well. I think to pick up on that as well, it's about being proactive with your marketing and not reactive. So what we find all the time is that we speak to body shops and they say, oh, we're too busy. And that's the perfect time to do your marketing, because when you're not busy, it's too late. And that goes across everything. When you
get a lap, don't you? So you got this big curve, this wave curve going up and down. So you're really, really busy, but you should be marketing, but you don't. And then you go really, really quiet, and then you got a lull. Then you market like mad, and then you get really, really busy, and then you stop marketing, and you get a lull. So you end up with these peaks and troughs, don't you? And no consistency in terms of what workflows you got coming in.
Well, that's it, and that's why consistency is key, and that's what we said. It's just that continuous marketing should be continuous. You know, it's a drip-fed message always going on in the background, and you know what we say is that obviously there's a staff shortage and there's a skill shortage in the industry at the minute. So people they ring me and go, oh, I need a VDA tomorrow. I was like, right, okay, So where are we going to promote? Well, I don't want to pay a recruitment agency, so we can put an advert on Facebook. So, okay, well, you know, you've got 10 followers on Facebook because you haven't been listening to what we've been telling you. So there's a maximum of 2 people that are going to see that realistically. But if you spend all your time and effort over 6, 12, 18 months, 500 followers, 1,000 followers with all the different things we tell you to do, shock horror, you've got all those brand champions there ready to go when you need them.
Yeah.
So we're a bit quiet next week, right? Special offer on alloy wheel refurbs, 40% off, 20% off, whatever it is. If you're going to put that on your social media and there's no followers, no one sees it. So like Tim said, the way to look at your marketing is paid and natural. So obviously there's always an initial expense. So for instance, like Tim said there with the Google advertising, you can pay a magazine, a newspaper, a radio channel. You can pay Google to be at the top of their listings, but that becomes very, very expensive. Granted, if it makes a return, happy days, but if not done correctly, it becomes very expensive. So what we say is invest in your marketing. So you almost don't have to do your marketing anymore. So once you've built that website and you keep it up to date regularly, your customers will come in because they're looking for you. Your social media, if you build up a following, anyone can build a social media following up. You can do it yourselves. Granted, a lot of you hasn't got the time or in the know-how to do it, which is why we can help. But you can realistically build that following up. And then basically, you know, like you say, they become your brand champions, and it almost becomes natural then. So what we find is if you've got sort of 500 plus, 1,000 plus followers, all that hard work at the start, granted, it does take hard work to get there, but once you're there, they're liking, they're sharing, they're leaving you reviews. So someone likes it, their friends see it. They didn't realize there was a Volkswagen approved repairer in Chester. So they then follow the page and like it. Their friends then see it, and their friends then see it. And this is exactly the same snowball effect that Tim mentioned with his blogging and with his backlinks. It all reverts back to the same process. And, you know, people say, it's impossible to create something that's viral, but it's easy enough to put content out there that's of value to people, you know. And like I say, if you've repaired someone's car and you've given them a positive experience, people go, oh, why does someone want to follow a body shop? Because if they've bashed up their pride and joy, you've turned it back to brand new. You know, they're your best friend. They absolutely love you.
Who do you trust?
Yeah, trust, and they will sing your brand from the rooftops for the next 25 years, because they're probably not going to have another crash. Let's be honest. So it'll be their families, their friends, their colleagues, and that's what, like you say, that's almost like a free version of marketing once you've got to that stage.
And psychologically as well, what you've also got with that is that people like feeling valued by helping other people. So though I may never have used Gary's services, for example, if I know somebody who has and they go, do you know what, Gary's really, really good, I'd recommend him. But then one of my close friends says, you know what, I'm looking at doing my social media, websites and all the rest of it, but I don't know who can do it. From a personal point of view, it makes me feel good knowing I have the knowledge to know I can recommend somebody else. So whether that be through services, through body shops, whatever, that person who's being asked for their advice, if somebody's asking you for your advice, you feel valued, don't you? So just from a sociological point of view, somebody thinking, well, I feel great now because I've helped my friend refer him somewhere else. I've made some, you know, it's made me feel good, it made them feel good to have helped them. So building these relationships is a massive thing that you can do, but it's also what I said to you about part of what I was trying to put across to you about the reason why I have so much volume of content on my website, and the reason why it's 30,000 is that I spent from 2014 to probably 2016, where I wasn't really earning any money, and I had nothing else to do other than try and make my website relevant. And I was sticking anywhere between 20 and 40 blogs on my website a day, every single day. So this is that thing about being consistent that Gary's saying. Don't just do something, leave it out there and let it hang and that's it. You need to be literally banging away every single day, relentlessly, non-stop, sticking content out there. But what then happens is it's like pushing a big ball up a hill. You know, you never know how close to the top of the hill you are with this big ball that's getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and at which point it's going to go over it. But at some point you crest the hill. So now with my website and advertising, I get massive amounts of traffic going through it, and I've actually slowed down from the content I'm putting out there. So my blogs are advertising. So consciously, subconsciously, whether the content's relevant or not, every time I'm putting something out there, that's me actively marketing and actively advertising. It's just that I'm not paying somebody else to do it. People have this thought about advertising being literally a banner, a press thing, or something you stick out. It's not. Anything you do to advertise yourself is marketing. It's as simple as that. So I've literally, I mean, Sonny will tell you what I've been like over the last 6 months and a year, because he's seen what I've been doing and what I've been developing with it. But the reason why I'm doing tonight is because it's the only time I've had an opportunity for me and Gary to get together and deliver something. But I've quite literally got more work than I can do. And the work that I'm doing as well isn't low value work. It's all really well paid, high value work. And it's not that I don't need to advertise. It's just that I've not got the time to even do the work that I've got, let alone. So I actually don't want to advertise because I won't be able to do it. So from my side of it, I've got to a point whereas all that hard work and effort from 2014 to now is now reaping massive dividends because of all the work I did on media and social media. So my advertising is working for me because of what I did 6 years ago. But what also happens then is that I use an analogy when I do my training about marketing, generally, in that it's like being one person in a room of 10,000 people and shouting what you do. Nobody hears you. And then you've got a flag and you flick it up there and you still, Adam can see you, but somebody might do. If I put you on a big platform and then you start waving your flag, you're more noticeable than the other people around you, but you're still a small person on a platform. If I give you a megaphone and you start shouting whilst you're waving your flag saying what you do, people will take notice. Now, if I put you on a big stand, stick loads of music around you, I've got great big flashing lights and sending sirens off and horns and balloons and anything you can think of, everybody will see you. Now, if I did that at 3 o'clock every single day, people will know you were there. And what happens then is because you created that platform and you're singing and shouting and people see you, they'll start following you and you create an audience. But the key to marketing is when you get to that point where it's 3 o'clock the next day and you're not there and people miss you and want to know where you are, so you're not now chasing them to show them who you are and what you do. They're now looking to try and find you to find out what you're up to. That's when you've got the key of marketing absolutely nailed. So what I've done from my marketing side of it is that I've now got to a point where I don't need to do as much marketing because people are actively looking for me. So on my website, I've kind of cooled down what I'm doing because I've got 30,000 pages that are going to continue working for me for the end until the point I die. But that doesn't mean you should stop. So even though I've got this work coming in and it's good, high quality paid work, and I don't really need to do more because of what's coming in, that isn't why you stop. So you don't just go like, right, I've got it all day, my marketing sorted out, I've got good quality work coming in, I've got more than what I can do, I should just stop. I've looked at my business and I've looked at what I can turn over and where my profit is. And I either need to employ somebody, so I'm both the positive and negative thing in my business and the bottleneck, because everything goes through me and I decide what happens with it. So the only way I can earn more money is by employing people and doing more volume, or I find more, higher, better paid work. So going back to what I was doing last week at the motor show, why would I go down to a motor show, spend a fortune in petrol, stay in a hotel overnight, spend money giving flyers out and talking to people and all the rest of it, when I've already got more than enough as it is? Well, the reason why is just because everything else in the background is going on across well, it doesn't mean that it should stop, because what it does is it creates opportunities. So the opportunity I had last week was then getting on stage with the Discovery Channel with Car SOS. But what I'm trying to do is do more media stuff. So if I can get to a point where I can get things by doing more media and end up on TV or other stuff, I'll earn more money. Simple as that. So it's like
linking that back to him as well, like to the body shop industry and the accident repair industry is and it's a big, obviously it's a big topic going on with everyone talking in a minute. But like you say, it's about when you're marketing, when you're on social media, when
quality
your website,
work,
you're going to get that work. So you dictate the labor rates, you get the 100% of the invoice. There's no accident management companies, there's no insurers taking a lick of the spoon. And like you say, and then once that customer is yours, if you treat them well, upsell services, they're then your customer for life. So a lot of this marketing isn't sell. It's education. How many customers still actually know, is it their legal right to go and have the car repaired anywhere of their choice? It is, but how many people know that? They just pick up the phone and call their insurer. So if you're telling them every week, did you know it's your legal right? You can come to us. Do you know we'll repair it to this standard? Like Sim said, check out this video of this car we've just repaired. Look how good it is. Look at the equipment we're investing in. Look at the training we're investing in. We're not just an underarch garage or body shop or whatever you work for. You know, we're the real deal. So, like you say, it's a great way to build that trust. You know, through messages, through videos, through images, and things like that.
And what you've got with it is, within any type of business model, you want, what people don't realize is, I speak to businesses all the time, they go, yeah, but we've got work coming out of our ears, Tim, we can't keep up with it. And it means absolutely nothing. A full car park is not a good thing. Having work coming out of your ears, a bit different than me because of what I do, but having work coming out of your ears isn't a good thing if you're not making profit. So going back to the very start, when I say to you about what your business is and what it does, and part of what you do is that you make people happy is what you do, fundamentally side of it. But that isn't the key element of your business. The reason why you're all in business isn't to repair vehicles, it's to make money and make profit. So don't be busy fools. Find the work that pays you the most amount of money for doing as little as possible. And the way you do that is that if you start becoming reliant on, I've just got the fan kicking off on my computer as well in the background. So it's, the way you do that is when you start working, for example, with insurance companies, or you start working with contracts or accident management companies, and everybody's taking a bit of a bite out of your cherry and they're taking your profit away. I would never, ever give any of my profit away in any way. And it's not that I'm tight, it's just that I work damn hard for my money. I'm not going to let somebody else take it out of it for easy. You know, but just because it's like 20% of a bottom line, I'm like, you're making money out of this job than a body shop's earning. How can that work out? So the way you do that is people hide behind incompetence, laziness, ineptness. Oh, well, my business is failing, Tim. It's going quiet. I'm not really earning profit. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to market. Meanwhile, they're saying, how much would you quote this job for? And I'm like, buy an estimating tool. Buy a tool that tells you how much money you're going to quote on a job and how much money you're going to make on a job. I don't do any insurance work. Neither do I. I've got access to estimating tools, so I know when I'm doing a job to estimate it, or when I'm doing an engineering job, I can value it. I know what I'm doing with it. But for any body shop not to have an estimating tool telling you at least how many hours you're going to expect to have in the job, and not know how to calculate where your profit is and what your labor rate should be, and know what your operational costs are, what your break-even rate is, and you know what your markup is on your different aspects of what you're doing. It's an absolute recipe for disaster and be bust within like in no time. You need to know your financials. You need to know where your profit is, but you also need to know what value different contracts they've got, whether it's worthwhile working with them. So if you're negotiating with an insurance company, even though you should never negotiate with an insurance company, if they're giving you figures and you can't make any profit on it, you've got to say no. Yeah, the amount of body shops I know out there who agreed to crap figures on it because, well, I can't do any better with it because that's what they just do. And it's like, well, no. The more work you do where you're losing money on it, all you're doing is prolonging your death. So how do you prolong your death or make it actually, well, actually, it's not prolonging your death, it's actually, I'm living. Well, what you need to do is take control. The only person who's in control of your business is you. That's it. Simple as that.
It comes back to who needs to do the most. Do the insurance company need us the most, or do we need them the most?
Just say that again. So I've got the fan on my computer buzzing away, but I can hardly hear it, so I'm just quiet there. So say it again, mate.
It comes back to who needs who the most.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not even that. So what you've got from an insurance company's point of view, the way the industry is working over the last 50 years have been bastardized. And what's happened is the repair industry has allowed insurance companies to get the upper hand. And then not only has it got to the point where people believe the repair insurance companies have got the upper hand, the people who work at the insurance company believe they've got the upper hand and then know they've got the upper hand, and then nobody challenges it to tell them that they haven't. Well, if you allow a culture to occur that doesn't get challenged in any way, it'll propagate itself and never change. And then people believe it'll never change. So again, if none of you have been on my training sessions, it's a bit hard, like I said, my computer's getting hot and it's buzzing away, you won't hear it, but go onto YouTube. So if you can manage to write this down, so anybody who's been on my training sessions will have seen this before, but go onto YouTube and look up monkeys in a cage mass mentality. And this relates to so many different things. It's one of my favorite videos in all my training sessions. And what it shows you is that people won't change things if everybody else accepts it. Well, if people are doing things and they don't even know the reason why they're doing it, they just do it because everybody else does it and it's the way it's always been, they won't challenge it. It won't change. So again, the key to running a business successful is that you're the person in control. You have to change it. Well, people say to me, yeah, but you can't fight insurance companies. I'm like, yeah, you probably took it the wrong person about that, really, because I fight them on a daily basis. I beat them every time I come across them, or pretty much every single time. And I force them to pay the rates that they should be doing. So going back to what Liam was saying there in terms of like who needs who the most, it's actually not that. What you've got to look at is basically down to the principal aspects of law. So you've got a contract between an insurance company and a consumer, and the insurance company's promised to indemnify them up to the market value for loss. It doesn't say they can limit the liability in any way by saying, well, actually, we don't agree on labour rates. No, it's a fundamental part of the contract. You'll pay me for what damage, the car's damaged for a certain amount. It costs £5,000 to repair. Your contract says you promise to repair it. Simple. So the reason why it doesn't get challenged is because insurance companies know you won't sue them. And it's as simple as that. And the industry's allowed it to occur. So what you do is you need to fight. Simple as that. Then that's what's happened. So we've had a culture over the last 50 years where repairers won't fight insurance companies. But they need to now, because if they don't, they'll be bust. So that's one option. The second option is you find better work where you don't have to deal with insurance companies. You find retail rate work that you're in control of, that doesn't go through insurance companies or works with leasing companies, or you target different areas. Go on, Gary, you got to say something.
Yeah, it was just diversify as well. So even if it doesn't completely, replace your insurance work, let's be honest, it would be difficult, or it would take time to become a 100% retail body shop, which is brilliant if you can. But you have to diversify a lot. It's about changing that work mix. So if it's 90-10, retail insurance, let's get to 15, let's get to 20, let's get to 25. And we've got so many testimonials and case studies where, body shops are turning over an extra 10, 15 grand a month on retail by just doing the social media and just doing the website and things. And I always say that, how much was your wheel alignment kit? I don't know, whatever, 20, 25 grand plus. How hard does it work in a week? I don't know, 1 hour a week. So how can that, you've got 7 hours a day. How much could you charge for an independent wheel alignment? Obviously you're going to do it as part of the accident repair, but if you
market business to business with it as well.
Exactly. There's so many different things. Or like you say, if you might be outsourcing your alloys and things like that, but the equipment that you've invested in, make sure you're using it, make sure you're working. You might not want to queue people outside for air conditioning, recharge and things like that. But the equipment that, skilled equipment costs a lot of money. Use it, and you can promote that. You might be quiet over the summer or whatever. Do a wheel alignment special offer, tracking, camber, all these different things, using the words that customers understand, because let's be honest, most customers don't know what four-wheel alignment is or ADAS and things like that. So like you say, it's about increasing that retail up against that insurance. And if you get to a level where you're 50-50, you have a decision to go, right, well, I'm going to go for this. And we see so many body shops now just cancelling their accident management contracts. I don't need it. I'd rather try and get my own stuff in. I've been in business for 30 years. I've got my customers in the local area. And granted, I know that sounds easier than it is when you've got day-to-day pressures, but you have to start somewhere.
You got to work on it. You just got to work. You got to work and graft and be consistent and just keep at it and at it. But it's about educating your surrounding area and the people who work with your consumers and stuff. You've just got to keep doing it all the time.
I mean, how long do you normally go on for, Tim? Do you want me to go on, just mention social media, or it's up to you guys?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah. I was going to wind it up about 9:30. Yeah, I was thinking about 9 till 9:30, but because I've got bits of that so I can do extra on it. But now I was fine. I didn't know what volume of content you want to do. So
yeah, I mean, like you say, so like you say, the three areas to keep repeating them is your Google reviews, your website, and obviously this social media. And again, I'm not sure what level of your journey you guys are on with your social media. Go on.
So just a quick poll then. So stick your hand up if you've got a website. Right, so Liam's got no hands, so he can just nod. Rob, have you got a website? Yeah. Debs has an ours. Johnny, have you got one? No. Okay, so the people who've got websites, How many times do you put blogs on there a week or a month or a year?
Never.
Why? So the answer you'll all give me is, Tim, I'm too busy. And then you all go, Tim, I'm not earning enough profit. And we're all going bust. So what you're doing is you're focusing on repairing cars and not making profit. You're not in business to repair cars, you're in business to make profit. Big shock horror. Going back to one of Gary's words, big shock horror. I'm gonna start going into that one, mate. But big shock horror, you don't repair cars. You're there to make people happy. You make people happy, you make profit. If they're not happy, they won't use you, you won't make profit. Work at what you do and do it to make money. That is a key to it. So if you're not making money, you need to market and advertise what you do. Get the right type of customer that makes you profit. Go on, Gary, back to you.
Yeah, so, and like you say, and again, people probably thinking there is like, I can't add a blog to a website, or I can't make sure I've got pages about each of my services. And yeah, granted, it's not the easiest thing to do when you've not done it or you're not used to doing it, but it can be done with help, assistance from like Tim, from us. And we could, the way we build our websites, it's called CMS. So basically we build it, we can give you a user guide, and then you can update it yourself. So you don't have to pay us that £75 every time Tim was mentioning things like that. So, and then that's your website, and going onto your social media, which is accessible to everyone. You don't have to pay the £1,000, the £2,000 upfront cost to build it, you know, like your website or anything like that. It's there to be used for free. Granted, you know, you can do your advertising. I think just to, like you say, to give everyone, I'm not sure where everyone's up to and things like that. But again, the first question we get asked is, what platform do I use? There's so many different platforms these days. Where do I start? What content do I post? So just to give you a very quick overview of the sort of different platforms and things like that. And so you've got, obviously everyone's heard of Facebook. You've got your personal Facebook, which I'm sure you've all got a personal page. And then you have a company page as well. So there's no point having a personal page that has friends and you're telling everyone about things like that. You need to set up a separate company page that has followers. So you can still share all your content using your personal page. So you may have 1,000 friends, and then you can invite all those friends to your company page. And that's where you get all your analytics. That's where you can leave reviews and things like that. So it's actually built for companies to use, a bit like Google. It's like it's the same type of platform. And people might say, well, everyone uses Instagram these days. Not the case. Obviously, Instagram's growing, but you've got different demographics. You've got different customers. You've got your 18 to 30s. You've got your 30 pluses that all use different platforms in different ways. So Facebook, I think the stat we posted the other day, it's got over 200 million businesses worldwide using Facebook business pages. So it's by far still the most used platform. And the best thing about Facebook is it's localized. It's, again, like Tim said before about his directory websites, it's basically, the best way to call it is a modern day Yellow Pages. So if you go onto Facebook and you type in accident repair Manchester, even in the search, it'll search for people that's name is accident repair. It'll search for post and it'll search for companies. So if you've done a post about it or your company's got it in its name, that'll come up in the search. They'll click it and there you go, they've found your page. So even if you've got 20 followers and you're posting every day and you're like, I'm not getting anywhere here, in those search options in the top, you can still get found and you can still generate business from it. So that's why it's key to be consistent. Instagram, again, I'm sure everyone's heard of it. It hasn't really got the same business platform as Facebook. So it's still kind of personal business, but it's not too much different. But the main thing with Instagram is it's obviously an image-led platform. So if you're going to use Instagram, make sure you're taking your own photos, your own videos, because it's showcasing what you guys do. And that's the same with TikTok. I know TikTok's very new, which is great for, you know, before and afters and things that you're doing. But again, that's probably not one to start with if you're going to start your journey. Twitter, again, great for having conversations, great for interacting with people, but probably the main business platform to generate, because you've only got limited characters. Photos and links, you know, don't look as good as they do on Facebook and Instagram. So it's good if you've got it, but I would rather get more Facebook and Instagram followers than really try on Twitter. Obviously, depending on what you guys are trying to do, but if you're trying to generate retail work and things like that to the B2C customer, then those two platforms are probably best. And then, like Tim mentioned before, you've got LinkedIn, which is classed as your more B2B platform, so your business to business. and that works similar to Facebook. So you've got your personal LinkedIn page where you have connections. Like me personally, feel free to connect with me if we're not already on LinkedIn after this. I'll be under Gary Chew, CHEW. I must have close to 3,000 connections now. And like Tim said, that's pretty much every body shop owner in the UK, insurers, accident management companies, because you never know when you're going to need to call on these people. So that's your personal LinkedIn. And then again, after that, you set up a company page like Facebook. And just like that, it's as simple with a click of a button, you can invite all your connections to your company page on LinkedIn. And that just gives you extra features so people can search for your page. You've got different tabs, different videos and things like that. So they're
also create groups on that as well. Do the same thing in your business thing.
That's it. So they're kind of your main overview pages. And sort of, again, so what the hell do I post? I'm just a body shop. No one's interested in that. And there's kind of a rule that most marketing applies by, and it's kind of called the 80-20 rule, basically.
Yeah.
So, like say, whether you're blogging, whether you're, whatever it is, whether you're on telly, whether you're doing an advert. So 80% of your content should be educational, informative, entertainment. I mean, again, if you want to follow our LinkedIn page, it's called Small Talk, as in TORQUE, on LinkedIn. Have a look at the stuff we post every other day or every day on LinkedIn, and we do Friday funnies, we do educational stuff. So it can be a bit of everything, because if you just sell, then it'll actually switch people off. So that's that 20% of your content is your sales, is your promotions, is you get an estimate now, is your book an MOT online and things like that. So it's about spreading that content out and having a strategy. So I know what everyone does. They get to the end of the month and go, oh, I've not posted on social media, right? What did we do this? Look through my phone for my photos, right? There's a before and after, there's a before and after, there's a before and after, there's a before and after. And then lo and behold, you've lost 50 followers because no one, people love to see that, but not just that. So again, open an Excel spreadsheet or, on the back of a piece of paper, write down January, February, March, April, or however, and say you're going to do one post a week. Let's start one post a week. So 4 posts a month, and then say, right, what can I talk about? I can talk about repairs, photos before and afters. I can post testimonials. I can post articles about, top 10 driving tips, or, how to look after your car in the winter, things like that. I can post success stories. So have we done any charity work? Have we won any awards? Has Mary, Mary at front of house been here for 40 years? Have we bought her a cake? All little things like that. You're building your brand, you're gaining trust, and you're generating a personality for your business. So like Tim said, they'll forget you repair cars. They're like, look at this lovely family-run business in the area. They look after the staff. They're really helpful. I go there for my company. I go there for my automotive news because it's actually a benefit to me. And then every now and then you do a post about air conditioning and alloy wheels. And should you have an accident, we're there to help. So in their subconscious, it could be a year later and they bash the car. If you've got a strong branding, a strong brand message, they'll remember that orange logo like Tim's got. They'll go, what was that company that I follow that specialize in Peugeot repairs? Go on the Facebook. All right, okay, there you go. So you're almost not talking to your customers today. You're almost sort of educating them for tomorrow. I've never said that before. That's actually quite good. Right on now, it's kind of like, it's kind of what you kind of need to do. So that's kind of your content. And again, you don't have to go full throttle into it all. If you're going to start, I would say start on Facebook, because it's the easiest way to sort of grow your following as well. So grow your following on your personal page first. All your friends, family, all the people that follow your page need to be in your local area. It's great inviting your auntie from Inverness, but if your body shop's in London, she's never going to come and get her car repaired there. And to be fair, even if she shares your post, no one else in Inverness is going to come and get the car repaired there. So it's about building that audience in your local area. And if you haven't got, you might say, well, I'm not on Facebook. That makes it more difficult, but it doesn't make it impossible. So a lot of body shops we work with aren't on Facebook. They hate Facebook. And I say, I don't care if you hate Facebook. Your customers don't hate Facebook. And that's the most important thing. So even if you're a body shop owner or whatever, and you're not on Facebook, either get on Facebook, or if not, then you have to use different methods to generate it. So every time you send an email, have you got a branded email signature? Again, going back to this branding, your logo, your name, your phone number, your email. Have you got your Facebook and your LinkedIn links within your email signature? Are you telling people about your business? You know, in your reception area, have you got little business cards where they can just scan a little QR code and it'll leave a review? Scan a little QR code and it'll take you to the Facebook page to like. Every touch point within your business should have your social media links on. You know, even your signage outside, your courtesy vehicles. Yeah, so things like that. So it's just think of how many emails you send to people. A, it needs to have a correct email address that people are going to recognize. B, it needs to be branded professionally. And C, it needs to have links to your website, you know, your social media handles, a little bit about the business, because, you know, whether it's an insurer, whether it's a customer, that's all branding. And that insurer might go, bloody hell, these are professional. And look at that professional email signature. What does that say about their body shop? If you email an insurer from a Gmail account, and the text's everywhere, there's no logos, they're like, do I really want to send my customer there? So it's all in the subconscious. It's all, like you say, it's all perception. Are you going to do anything else on that, Tim? Or is that just showing you?
No, just showing you like, so it's just, yeah, but just basically just showing that. So like the email address there now, if you look at that, so Motorclaimguru, it'll come up as Tim Kelly at motorclaimguru.co.uk. So I have Google hosting as a, I go through a server and it diverts to Google. I have Google running me email, but you'll see my email address isn't Google. It is Motorclaimguru. It's my company. So it's just, like I said, showing that professionalism in the background of that. It makes me look bigger than what I am. Again, with branding. So I've got my branding in my email as a signature. I've got who I am and my qualifications about what I do, because that's the people I'm selling to, it's important. But what I've also got as well is, if you notice the colours, the thing I don't get is people don't leave me a review unless I ask them. And then they'll say, oh, how do I do that? And I'm like, it's quite literally in purple on every single email I send you saying, please leave me a review if you like what I do. Click here now. In bold letters, so bold purple letters out different of every colour. I've done it to stand out. And even then, I've done it in blue underneath it and Google feedback here. But the two are the same thing. So I've not just put it once, I've put it twice to try and make them do it, and then I can generate the actual reviews at the back end of it. But stuff like that, if you don't ask for it, you won't get it. And yet they might say, you know, this person might be, this company might be the best organization they've ever met. Oh, well and good if they don't, you know, if you are, but you need them to be your advocate. So your customers are always your best advocates. They are your best sales team you'll ever meet in all your life. Because if you do a good job, and then you just say, do you mind telling people around about what you do? Oh yeah, I think you're great. Yeah, of course I'll do that for you. But ask them, put it in their mind. Well, I'll tell you what, actually, if you can get 4 or 5 people who come to me and they've said they've all come through, what I'll do next time you come in, I'll wash your car for a fee and give it a free valet. All right. Will you? Yeah, that's great. That, yeah, no, I'll give you a free valet next time you come in if I've got 5 people come in and recommend you. So they come from you. And they'll do it because they want the car washed. Stuff like that.
So you can go even further than and actually create, you know, what's known as like a customer loyalty scheme or a loyalty program and a referral scheme. So, you know, thanks for your repair. There you go. You know, like you say, it's just like when you buy 3 coffees and get 1 free. It's the same thing. So when you come back now, we'll give you 10% off tires. We'll do you 10% off aircon. If you refer a friend, we'll give you a £50 voucher. Really simple things to do. And it gives that customer a reason to speak about you. Granted, they'll have to have a positive experience first, but it'll give that customer a reason, because like you say, everyone's busy. We know that. And that's why what we find really effective with these little business cards that the drivers hand out or in the reception area is you've got the customer there and then. Have you got a mobile phone? Yes. Are you happy? Yes. We'll take it out, scan that little QR code, and it'll take you straight to our Google page. And, you know, go and do it in the car or leave the review there and then. And you can do that with your Facebook. So again, take out a piece of paper, write down every touch point that you could be talking to that customer, and make sure your key messages are there. Like you say, on your courtesy vehicles, on your signage, your business cards, your invoices, your emails, your website. I mean, I see so many websites where they haven't got the social media links on there. So it's like you're putting obstacles in people's way, you know, for things that should be easy. You know, and going back to those cards in reception with the QR, yeah, I've actually got one. here. I don't know how this is going to work. So can you see that?
Yeah.
So literally scan for Google, scan for Facebook, and even mention the driver, and you'll get put in for a free draw. So little things like that cost absolutely nothing. But that body shop in question, within the first 30 days, they got over 30 Google reviews. And again, feel free to type it in, Motor Bodies Widnes, have a look how many Google reviews they've got. And then their website appears more than anything else. Like you say, it's just using these little touch points.
And Google likes promoting its own reviews, doesn't it? So it'll give you, every time there's a review, that's a link. So every time somebody gives you a review about your business, that's a link that tells Google that your business is credible, it's great, and it's got good customer service. Then Google will promote you. So we're just winding down. We'll finish at 9:30, because I know I'm waning now because I've been up since early doors. I'm sure Gary's as well. So all free to open your mics up, and feel free to ask both Gary and myself anything.
Tim.
What you do? Yeah, go on. Go on, Josh.
Yeah,
Oh,
Tim,
wait.
I've just had one thing, mate. You mentioned using an estimating tool, so I'd say 95% of my work is retail, and I don't use an estimating. What would you recommend? Because I use text for any insurance work. I outsource it, but I don't use anything for my private work.
Right. So
For my retail work.
what's your operational cost? What's your break-even point? Do you know what your break-even point is?
Well, sorry, crack.
Do you know what your operational costs are and what your break-even point is? So do you know how much you need to earn an hour every hour? So do you know?
So I worked it out at about, because I see your posts, and I worked it out, and it's sitting at £50 an hour, and that's from you. Yeah. I upped it by about £15 an hour after I did that. So
Yeah. So what you then need to do is, do you measure how long it takes you to do a job?
no, I don't write it down.
Why not? So how do you know how much to charge if you don't know how much do you know how much to charge if you don't know how long it takes you, what your break-even cost is and what your profit ratio is?
Yeah, I guess it's from experience.
Yeah, don't use experience.
It's not accurate. No.
Experience is shit, to be fair. Because what happens is you'll end up with a vehicle that's corroded, that you can't get the panels off, that's got crash damage on it, and you're not got any time as an allowance to actually get access to the bits that you need to remove for it. Forget experience. What you want to do, if you're doing purely retail work, first of all, make sure that you quote it correctly. You need to understand what you're doing. Rather than work off experience, work off facts. So there's a tool called Toggle, T-O-G-G-L. And what you want to do is stick it on your phone. So appreciate you're not a larger body shop. Stick in the name of the customer that you got. And when you start working on the car, click on Toggle. When you stop working on the car, press stop. Measure the whole amount of time that you're spending on the car from start to finish. Multiply that by your labour rate at retail rate, and compare that to what you charge the customer. Yeah. And then go in a corner and cry for a while, because you realise you've underquoted massively.
I think it'd be quite shocking.
Yeah, it will. I promise you it will.
I already know that I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're throwing your money away. You are quite literally going like that to customers. Have my money.
Yeah.
I don't value my time and my money. You can have it all for me. You can have it for free, and then you'll be bust, and then you've got an expensive hobby. And for all of you, if you're repairing cars and you're not making profit, you have an expensive hobby, because you don't have a business. Yeah. Because you're in business to make profit. Simple as that.
It depends what repairs you're doing as well. You know, whether if it's more like smart repairs and small sort of repairs and things like that. I think there is a few platforms out there, like your estimating apps that I mean, I can try and dig some out for you if you want. I know there's a few people that do them where, you know, you can actually put your own labor rates in the back,
Yeah, I think
then
like
it will
interest you can
calculate.
use. I mean, these
Yeah.
used to be like a company called Motex, but you've got interest, and then you've got you can use Glassmatics as a basic tool to work out the actual labour rate, the labour times in the background. You use that. You can use a simple Excel spreadsheet. Got tools like Gmotive, an estimating system. That's really good. Autotext, everybody knows, but it's expensive. So Gmotive is probably one that I'd go to more than anything else. The old way of doing it used to be Thatcham. It used to Thatcham books, but they stopped doing it because, see, how crazy is this? So you've got Thatcham, which is the research facility that's funded back through the Association of British Insurers. So they fund an institute for research to work out how long it takes to repair cars. They used to create the times to repair anything, along with the actual methodology of doing it. And even though they fund it, they now don't use it. So what do you think? What would your guess be in being that they've now looked at the time generated by Thatcham to repair cars and compared it against Autotext and realised that the actual time to repair a car through Thatcham repair methods is more than Autotext. So they don't want to use Thatcham repair methods and Thatcham repair times because they lose money and they fund it. So if you look at eScribe, that's why it says not to be used for estimating purposes, which is absolutely ludicrous because Thatcham was used for estimating purposes. That's the whole reason why it was generated in the first place. Complete, absolute lunacy. So there's loads of different apps out there.
I was going to say, like, I guess the other thing we hear quite a lot as well when I'm trying to tell body shops to get their own retail work and stuff is the excess payment, isn't it? I think we were having a chat the other day that, like you say, if your retail quotes too much, then the customer will just go, I'll just pay my excess instead. So I guess you've got to have that sort of consideration as well, where, like you say, you can't be obviously losing money, but there's got to be some sort of a happy medium, maybe.
Not necessarily, no. So what it comes down to is the information you get from the customer. So what you need to do is, part of any sales is defining your customer and what the customer needs. So people come in and somebody will walk in and go, I don't really want to claim for my insurance on it as a cash job. Can you come up for that? Never, ever do that. Say to them, okay, is it a new vehicle? Is it your vehicle? Is it a lease vehicle? Is it a privately owned vehicle? So you need to work out who owns it. Because if it's a lease vehicle, it was not going to be a cash job. It'll always be an insurance job. If they privately own it and they got it on finance, they can't take the vehicle back if the finance is not paid off and it's defective in some way, so they'll still have to pay it. But ask them if, what is their excess? Simple as that. And then what you then do is, say they've got a 500 quid excess and the repair cost is 1,000 quid. Don't go, well, I'll tell you what, I'll make it a bit cheaper because I appreciate you've only got a 500 quid excess and around £1,000. No, don't do that. That's your money. What you do is you appreciate you got a 500 quid excess and the repair cost is 1,000 quid, but you do realise that if you make a claim, you're going to lose 20% of your no claims bonus. So your premium will go up because of that. You're now a higher risk because you made a claim, so it'll put an additional loading on of 10 or 15%. So next year, your premium will probably 35% more than what it is now. So because it's 35% more, it's going to cost you another 1,000 quid on top of what you're paying for an excess. It's probably going to cost you 1,500 quid next year or something like that. So it's actually, even though we're 1,000 quid, you're saving 500 quid by not claiming through your insurance. We're still repairing it at retail rate.
Plus, to capture the work, could you even just say it's a bit of a marketing gesture as well that we can even help you contribute towards sort of your excess as well if you do it that way? Yeah.
But what you need to do is you need to work out your profit, because you can't contribute to an excess if you're not making profit. So you need to understand your operational cost. You need to understand your break-even rate. You need to understand how many hours you're working on the car, Josh, to make sure that you're quoting and you're making money on it. Then, if you're making an absolute shitload of profit at the end of it, you can go, well, I'll tell you what, I'll help you with your excess. But you can't help somebody with their excess if you don't know your facts and figures at the start of it. You need to know your financials. You need to know every single bit about it. I speak to my accountant on a weekly basis about what I do. And then he laughs and he goes, you keep putting your rates up. And I go, I know. Because I've got work coming out of my ears. So I just keep increasing my prices till people stop using me. And then you keep making more profit, because what I'm then doing is I'm actually earning more profit for doing less work. But then going back to what I said to you about what I was doing at the car show last week, I've not just stopped because I'm making more money, making more profit for less time. I'm now still trying to find more work that pays me more money. So if I can get, for example, more work that puts me in the media, that pays me more money, the other work that I do that still earns well but doesn't pay as much, I can get rid of. So all the time you keep replacing the crap work with the good work. And all you want to do is you've got a target point of what you want to earn. You match it and get there. And then when you keep getting more and more contracts that pay that amount of money, find ones that get you better, then push the bad ones away. So then constantly all you do is just continue earning more and more and more money. And that's what you do with it. And it's same with contracts. If you've got working with contracts with different companies, or you look at the efficiency of your body shop and employing employees to do it. So, anybody got any questions for us? Because we're at 9:30, and I hope have you all found it beneficial? Have you all found it productive?
Yeah,
Cheers.
massively.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for your tip there, Liam, as well, 'cause that's going to be a cracker. I'll have a play about with that later on tomorrow.
I've
Easy.
started plugging up on Facebook as I've been listening, so hopefully it'll make sense on there.
Yeah,
So-
and if, like you say, if you guys have found it interesting and you want to do something specific on Facebook, SEO, websites, just let Tim know, and we'll see if we can book something in where we can go into a little bit more practical detail about how to set the page up, how to share your page, how to invite followers, and I can share my screen and show you and things like that. But yeah, like you say, just keep us posted or connect with us on LinkedIn and we can have a chat.
Yeah, sounds good.
And it is important that you all start doing something with it, because if you read my body shop articles every month, I keep banging on that you can't afford to sit still and do nothing. And to be honest, it's even kind of too late now, really. So you need to have been doing things a year ago. So if you want your business to be successful and profitable, all of you need to stop repairing cars and work out how to plan to get more work in over the next 6 months to a year, just to make sure you can pay for your bills and make more profit. And then that way you can start then, because every body shop's going to proper drop in profits in the next year unless you're doing loads of restoration work and you've got cash coming in. The other side of it is cash flow as well. So you all need to become professionals in running a business and work out how to manage it, work out your cash flow, look at what contracts you've got, look at profitability. But the key to do that, any of that, there's no point doing all of that if you've not got custom. So you need to look at your advertising and marketing. That's the starting point of everything. And that's where companies like Gary's is really beneficial, because you need to work out how to generate the traffic to your company that you can turn into profit.
It's all about perception, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when I used to drop a car back to a customer, I used to leave the seat covers in, the floor mats in, give the car a valet inside and out, and they look at the repair for a few seconds and they go, "You've washed the car and valeted it. Oh, you've taken care of it, the seat cover's still in it." It's their perception, how I've dealt with their property.
Oh, massive things, because it's the second most important investment they'll make in their lives aside from their house. So yeah, it's like giving somebody your baby. And then, they give you back with a dirty nappy. And you're like, yeah, that's half of that. It's not going to go down well, is it? So, yeah, if I took my car somewhere, I'd really appreciate it if it comes back to me clean, at the very, very least.
Even a tin of sweets on the seat I've seen recently as well. Apparently, just go that extra little bit. Get down to Costco, buy 100 tins of sweets, and then put one of them on the seat as well. Make sure it's the colour of your logo as well, though.
Little things in life, isn't it? Everybody
Yeah,
loves
100%.
Finding somebody who's coming after an accident who's been really distressed because it's the first time they've had an accident, give them a bunch of flowers. Just say, really appreciate you're upset, so I hope these cheer you up.
Put an air freshener in with your logo on it. It used to be Tastis holders. Make sure there's method behind the madness as well. So your logo's swinging in their car just before they have an accident. All little things like that can work.
Yeah. So on that note, if anybody else got any questions?
I just wanted to go into, I don't own a business. I'm probably one of the youngest lads in here at the moment. I'm 22, just coming up to finishing my apprenticeship now.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to come in here to absorb as much information as possible. And funny you said Thatcham. I'm at Thatcham Research Centre at the moment, finishing my apprenticeship off, which is great. It's amazing to see everything going on there. There's a lot of stuff happening and whatnot. But just screaming the importance of bringing fresh talent. I know something we said earlier about there's a lack of not just good talent coming into the industry, but also passionate talent, people that are taking pride in their work.
The key for everything is passion. So you're our future. We need people who are passionate like you.
This is what I mean, and just I'm not trying to make an excuse for us, to say that we're always on social media. Do you know what I mean? We're glued to our phones these days. It's a massive part of the youth side of the world. Social media is massive at the moment. And I'm not trying to say to entice us in and bring us in, but it really does push you're like sort of the standard forward of like, I'd love to go and do that. I'd love to do that as a career. I don't think there's a push enough at the moment for younger people to come into this industry. It's sort of seen, I'm not going to say a dirty job, because we know how satisfying and clean it can be sometimes, you know, when you're doing it right, and you're taking your time and your pride in it. But it's such a key element to be able to harness and give out, you know, the right image to the people that are coming into the industry. I think I know this is about making money. I know this is about running a business, but it's also about the longevity of.
Yeah, we've got a massive skill shortage at the moment. We've got an aging demographic. So I'm 50, and I was off the tools a long time ago. But what we've got is that unless we have people like you come into the industry, there's a lot of skills that are going to get lost. So, but the aging demographic are going to get retire. So there's going to be less chance of people like yourself to learn through an apprenticeship for the people who have been in the industry for 30, 40 years. That skill side of it is one side of it. There's a secondary side of it, whereas technology is advancing at such a rate where you're not just going to be repairing vehicles in a conventional way. You need to have a real good understanding of diagnostics, software, different tools that you're using as part of doing it, the different equipment, ADAS equipment, radar, LiDAR, lane departure systems, different technologies in paint. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that my background is I'm not a painter, so I learn off Sonny a lot of stuff. So I've got a lot of knowledge of it, but I'm not an expert in it. So again, the technology that you'll be using now if you're down at Thatcham. So what you're doing like MET panel or paint or VDA?
I'm a paint apprentice.
Yeah.
And so this is why obviously I'm here, because I mean, it's daunting to know that, you know, like it is such a struggle to sort of run a business now. And there is so many like elements to factor in as to what you've got to lock down to be able to run a business successfully. So like, I'm just in here trying to get like, learn.
You're doing the perfect thing. If I'd have done what you're doing at 22, I'd probably say I'd have saved myself 15, 20 years. I didn't start a business till I was 40. Well, so I'm 50 now, hang on, so now 38-ish.
Like I was saying, it's never too late. You might not find, you know, what you're capable of doing until you're 40, and that could be your breakthrough point of like, oh my God, this is what I'm really good at. But like, for me, like I've got like, there's a vision already, do you know what I mean? So like, to be able to have like guys like you and like a page like the Refinishing Crew, you know, where these opportunities come into play, it's so nice to jump in and just hear what everyone's struggles are, hear how everyone does well, and just like what you've got to do in it. But I think social media is huge to be able to bring in the future generation of the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I work as a STEM ambassador. So a STEM ambassador is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So what I do is I go into schools to go, the industry isn't a shithole working under the arches covering oil and grease. Actually, you'll find most mechanical workshops and body shops are probably the cleanest places you'll ever find, because you don't want a body shop that isn't clean. You don't want a mechanical workshop that isn't clean. And, you know, that old, and this is stuff like Coronation Street in EastEnders drives me mental, because it puts in that a stereotype of the motor industry, this thing.
Under the arches.
Absolutely hate it. Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's just wrong. And then you can't get kids involved in it. And I used to teach motor vehicle technology. So I'm qualified as an MVQ assessor, and I used to teach motor vehicle technology. I used to teach bodywork, and I used to touch on paint, even though I wasn't qualified in it. And what I used to get was that what you just said, the key thing you said about is enthusiasm. And the thing that gets lost now is that people who are in the industry, when I was in the industry starting off, we're all petrol heads. We all love cars. We all love working on stuff. Yeah. And then it changed. You got people working on cars who don't love them. Well, if you don't love working on cars, once you start working on a car that isn't nice to work on, you completely love working on because they're bloody awful. And certainly if you start working on things that are absolute piles of crap, full of rust, bent, twisted, and won't come undone, and then fight you all the way, and then lose stuff, and then you cut your fingers off, and you just hate them. And then you stood there for 8 hours a day with broken knees, broken back, and you can't bend down. And then you end up looking with this look at this day like Rob, because he's just lost the will to live, because he can't paint souls on cars anymore, because he can't bend down. So you kind of like, that's when you kind of lost losing cars. So you need that enthusiasm. So the reason why Rob's now smiling is because he loves cars and he has that enthusiasm. So he'll still carry on working on them. He's kind of happy. Yeah.
But like you say, that's where the educational and the social media becomes a storytelling platform then.
It does. Well. It's spot on it. Everything you said's perfect. It's bang on.
Can I just jump in there, Tim, about what you said about a few things? I'm well aware about STEM. I've been involved in it in the college. I've also been involved in something called Green Power. I did say to Sonny about it once years ago. It's about, you know, kit cards that schools put together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. Linking with the schools locally, try to push green power and say, look, you know, you build your bodywork, we'll give it a flashover. Bring the students in, they can base it up themselves with water-based quite safely, and you clear coat over it with a solvent. You know, you could use that as an advertisement tool, bring the students into the body shop, get them well aware of what's going on in the
Think of
trade.
how many prospective customers in 20 years' time when they're all driving you've just got by showing them what to do.
Yeah, and the school newsletters, parents reading that.
Yeah, look at what our kids did and where they were. So I work at Blackburn College, so I do stuff with them. So I've done stuff where
because, like, sorry to cut you off, Tim. It's like what he said then about bringing even from that side. Like I never had that from when I was younger. Like the only way I found this was, I mean, I did 3 years of motor vehicle engineering before I even touched paint, and then I found that, and that was just through luck. But like Liam said, if you can go in and, you know, showcase the possibilities of it's a possible career option. It doesn't even have to be a definite that they're going to do this, but it just spreads it just that little bit more, because schools have never really had anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is important that, go on.
Sorry, can I just chip in? Absolutely love your passion on it. And Tim's mentioned about having a LinkedIn account. So if you don't have one, try just create one. There's a guy called Dave Reese, and he runs a organization called School of Thought. And there's a couple of more organizations as well, like
Auto Raise as well.
Yeah, Auto Raise, and their sole purposes are to take our industry. So it doesn't matter if it's on the shop floor, if it's estimating, if it's working in distribution, to help to present our industry in a positive light. So they go into schools and give all that, do assemblies and that sort of stuff. So I think we're kind of steering at things in the right direction. It'll probably take quite a lot of collective effort, but I think we can. I think, you know, we can make a massive change, you know, if we all do our little bit. And so, yeah, Dave Reese, School of Thought, I think that's a good starting point.
Like I said, what Sonny's just said about LinkedIn's, again, it's a really powerful tool, but connect with everybody on here. So like, do a screen print off your phone, so you've got all our names on it, and then go on LinkedIn and find us and connect us.
But then we have 2 new connections.
Yeah.
Dev's and Rob, and Dev's Rob.
But what you want, on it. So if you need help in any way, and like I said, you need mentoring and guidance in your career and stuff, yeah, I'll help you, and other people there as well. So I mean, when Gary was saying about how many connections he's got on LinkedIn, I think I've probably got something like 8,500 people in the industry. Well, quite literally know any of it. So
people that you didn't know before, innit? So
yeah, but what you've got to do is you can't just kind of think an opportunity is going to come your way. You've got to fight for your opportunity, dig for it, and chase it, and chase it, and chase it. And then it's like, don't take no for answer, still chase it. And then things happen out of pure luck, and you go, that wasn't the thing I was looking for when I was chasing it, but it's actually something that's bloody good that's happened out of it. But you find a lot of that through LinkedIn. It's really beneficial because it just puts you in contact with people you wouldn't normally access with it. But there we go. Right, I'm going to finish there now because it's 9:45. We've gone slightly over. So, yeah, but if you need mentoring anyway on it, or you want direction with stuff, yeah, just reach out. But again, there's loads of people on the Refinishes crew that, I mean, Sonny doesn't sing his own praises enough. So
he doesn't at all. I follow his stuff all the time, and he probably doesn't even know I do. But like,
yeah, he's a very humble man.
He is. He helps out a lot of people that I think he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, would I possibly be able to, and Gary as well, could possibly drop you a message, because I'm here in a slightly different capacity to everyone else, similar to Yonit. I'm looking at building social media following without the business page side of it, because obviously I'm an independent.
That's another way of doing it as well. So yeah, I'll drop us a line, because I mean, there's things I spoke to Sonny about in terms of what he may potentially want to do. And same again with Wayne Beardmore as well. So his take on the way he does things is different than the stereotypical, I just repair cars and that's it. And part of what I do is work out how you can make money from social media. So
yeah, that's more of a personal brand, isn't it? So like, like you say, you've got a body shop, but then someone like Tim or Wayne or Sonny as well is I guess an influencer type thing is you build your personal brand, so it's all about you and what you do. So yeah, that's absolutely fine doing it that way.
Yeah, that personal brand, like you just said. Then
I suppose through Anthony, I don't know what side of it you're in, but like there's a really good painter up on Instagram. If you search in Andy the Paint, he's sort of done more so that side of like built his personal brand up. And so I think if you look at that, like it might not solve all your problems, but you know what I mean, it might give you a little push in direction as to where you want to go.
Yeah, the best place to start with social media is to follow and listen. You don't have to post anything for 6 months if you don't want. Follow the right people, look what they're doing, and you know, without sounding horrible, do it better. And that's the best way to do it.
And that's the parallel to business. So if you want to go into business and you don't know what to do, surround yourself with people who do know what they're doing. And the thing is, there's different ways of doing that as well. So surround yourself with rich people is a good example, because rich people think different than poor people. Now, when I say surround yourself with rich people, that can be simple as listening to a blog, reading a book, reading about marketing, reading about profit, reading about how to run a business. So you don't necessarily need somebody physically as a body to learn from. You can do it through going on YouTube and finding people who do it and teaching out different aspects of business. But when you start changing your mindset, because you are who you surround yourself with, 80% of who you are is who you surround yourself with people. And you find that quite a lot, whereas if you've got people around you who have bad influence on you, you'll end up like them. So you need to, so as much as what I say about with business, you're in charge, the same with your personal life as well. You decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So if you want to do something better than what you're doing, teach yourself. Go out and get a book, go out on YouTube, go on iPlayer, listen to stuff. If I was working on cars, I'd have a set of headphones in and I'd be listening to stuff whilst I'd be working, learning from it whilst I'm doing it. Just because, again, it's just continual growth and development with it all the time.
So people have been repairing cars for years. Like you say, you don't have to be first to the market, but like you say, you just need a USP. So, you know, Apple didn't invent the smartphone. They didn't invent the laptop. They didn't invent anything. They just looked at someone doing it and they just made it better.
The thing about Apple is though, so Apple are superb for brands. So how many brands do you know where people queue up for the latest product? How's that for marketing?
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Everyone's got a bit of marketing in the hand all over the world. You don't have to pay. You don't have to spend a penny on it.
Like what you said, that's free marketing without them even doing anything. All they've done is release new products, and like Gary said before, like your customers are your biggest marketing tool. Like they'll do everything for you, and you don't even have to do anything.
Well, you think about advocates. Yeah, you think about how they are as advocates now. So you've got people so loyal to the Apple brand that they're actually selling the Apple brand for Apple without Apple even having to do anything.
Yeah.
Subconsciously they do it without even thinking about it.
Yeah. But then back on day one, they did have to grind. They did have to get there.
Oh yeah.
They knew what Apple was. Is Apple just a different BlackBerry? Is it this? Is it that? So they had to get that grind. And when you get to that level, like you say, it does start to take care of itself, whatever field you're in.
There's a thing about Apple that was like, find your why. Because there's someone, I think it's Simon Sunak or something. There's like 3 rings of the why, the how, and the what. Yes. And it's like most people market from what we do. We repair cars or we sell computers. But Apple market from the why we do what we do, which is like we innovate rather than we sell computers, which is why they were so huge. But it's quite an interesting TED talk. I think it's Simon Sunak, something like that.
Yeah, that's saying if, like you say, if you've got a strong why and you've got a purpose, and you, like you say again, you're taking the customer along the ride with you about why you do it, why you're passionate about it. Like you say, that's the strongest branding you can ever get. Not like you say, not what we do, we repair cars. Like Tim said, it's why we do it, how we do it. We've spent the last 10 years investing in training. We've gone to all the manufacturers. We've been to Thatcher, and people then go, all right, okay, so they don't just repair cars. And then they're buying into the brand, not the garage or the body shop. They're buying into the story.
So a book that I suggest for all of you. So this kind of links into what you're saying then, Debs, but it wasn't Apple, it's also Google. And this book wasn't anything I expected it to be. It was totally different. And it will totally change your mind about the way businesses work. Let's call that.
I'll second that. That really helped me quite a bit as well.
Yeah, one of the best books I've ever read. Brilliant.
Really good book.
Yeah, how Google works. But
That's my new audio book for the early
I was
morning.
going to say, if they got an audio book, so I'm not a big reader.
Yes. Well, I think, like I said, audiobooks are the same thing. But I mean, if you look behind me, you can get a fair idea of what I'm like for reading. I read just continually, or I read loads. But I've been like that from leaving school, and then all the way through leaving school, then after leaving school, then through jobs, and then more jobs. Then I've commuted going to work, to and from work on a tram. So I've been reading in the morning, reading in the evening. And then there's bits where I didn't do. So a lot of the content, the stuff I do now is watch YouTube. But I'm now getting back into reading again. But it don't matter what platform you use to educate yourself. It's key you educate yourself and learn. And then the other way of doing it is, if you can't teach yourself how to do it, find somebody who can and pay them to do it. And then make them, pay Gary. Pay Gary how to do it. Yeah. So not that I've been plugging him all the time, but just pay Gary, it's easy. Because it then allows you to make more money making profit doing what you do. And that's something else as well. So if somebody can do what you don't like doing and do it cheaper from what you can do, and you can do something that earns you more money doing it, pay them. Simple as that. But still having an understanding of what they do. So I'm quite OCD. I like to be able to do everything and understand everything and do everything myself. But at some point, you got to hand it over to somebody else.
I think it's super hard to get into like reading and taking in knowledge, but when you start to sort of reap the benefits from it, I mean, like reap what you sow in it. So
yeah,
when you do start reading and you do start learning, taking in all the stuff from, like even like audiobooks, some people don't like to read, so like audiobooks, like
it's great.
They're great because they just stick in your head without you even knowing, don't they?
Yeah,
that's it. And you can do it while you work. Like you could be rubbing down a car, or you could be fucking bass coat in a car, and you're listening to something that's teaching you at the same time.
It's so efficient doing it that way. Miles more efficient. So have you read a book called The E-Myth, done it?
I haven't, no.
Heard about it.
Good.
Hey, nice one, guys. So if you ever come on my training sessions,
two sessions.
Yeah, you come on one of my training sessions, Johnny, you'll be reading that book by the time you finished it, because I make everybody read it, because it's just.
I'll get onto it tomorrow. I've got a free day tomorrow. I'll finish training, go home, so I'll have a read of it on the way.
Yeah. So you want to run a business? That is the key fundamentals of how to run a business. So that's what you need to know. Simple as that. Right. Can I bloody get rid of yous?
I don't know about you lot.
I think just to end it, Tim, I think I was going to say it's the best time to start your social media and your marketing was about 10 years ago. The second best time is today. So I'll leave you on that one.
Yeah. So on that note, thank you for your participation, Gary. You've been great.
No
You've all been fantastic. And yeah, I'll stick it on YouTube for the people who weren't here, still like to see it. And as usual, Sonny, thank you for assisting us in posting it.
Thank you very much.
All right, gang. Catch you later.
Bye.
Take care.